Hi, I'm Kinjal Sharma, and as an intern of the Student of the Bar, I have been asked to make a case brief on the case of Vishakha and others versus state of Rajasthan and others. So, in this, there was a woman, Banwari Devi. She used to work for government under some women's development project in the state of Rajasthan. She was brutally gang raped in the year 1992. She used to work with families to prevent child marriages. So when she objected to one of the child marriage that was happening in her vicinity of 1-year-old girl child of Ramakant Gujjar, she was firstly boycotted by the whole community, and secondly she was gang raped by Ramakant Gujjar and 5 of his men. And later when this Banwari Devi and her husband went to police station to lodge a complaint, firstly the investigation was not started immediately as it should have been, and then she was not nicely treated by one of the lady police officer, and later when she went to the hospital to for all the tests that takes place after the DNA, those tests were not taking place. And this is a very inhumane, all these acts were very inhumane and harsh treatment to her, right? And so initially when this case was filed in trial court, the accused were acquitted because there was lack of evidence. But later on, when this case was filed in the High Court, all the accused were convicted for the gang rape that they did, and then there was a group of women NGOs. They went to Supreme Court. They filed a public interest litigation in the name of Vishakha, that there should, in order to frame get these guidelines framed for working women that are harassed at their workplaces. And the procedural history is such that obviously Supreme Court got the jurisdiction because the public interest litigation was filed there, and against the state of Rajasthan, and this case was taken forward under Article 14, 1921, which violated the right of the women, and they attracted to enforce Article 32 to get the remedy for the same. Then comes the rule wherein this case violated so many rights of women, and actually in the very first place it violated the right to equality to work in a safe environment under Article 14, then the right to live with dignity and in safe environment under Article 21, and actually the right to work under Article 19(1)(g). So many rights of women were violated, and in order to protect women from sexual harassment, the PIL was filed in the Supreme Court. The issues in front of the Supreme Court were so that, firstly, whether the enactment of a guideline necessary or mandatory to prevent and punish sexual harassment cases at workplaces, and secondly, whether the freedom of sexual harassment at workplace comes under the fundamental rights of women. Then the reasoning and decision of the case was so that the court examined this case through the scenario of gender equality, taking into consideration the sexual harassment of women at workplace as a social problem of a very considerable magnitude, and then the prejudice form of violence against women that is very prevalent all around the world, and that should be viewed as a very serious problem. It was held that the gender equality include the right to live with dignity, and the responsibility for guaranteeing such safety and dignity was that of legislation through appropriate laws. So the court also referred to, in this particular case, violation of Article 14, 19(1)(g), 21, and also Article 15 of the Constitution of India. And that is why the court established the Vishakha guidelines in order to deal with the prevention of sexual harassment that takes place against women at their workplaces specifically, keeping in mind the steady increase in exploitation of women that is happening day by day, and that is increasing day by day in our nation and all around the world. It was for the very first time that Supreme Court has established any sort of guideline with regards to sexual harassment. It has never happened in the history of our nation, and these guidelines, it not only established the notions of what actually sexual harassment is, but also aimed at preventing such acts and redressal by establishing redressal mechanisms for such cases, and thereby dealing with the issues of equality that was clearly violated in this case. So, in order to conclude, I want to say that the gross violation of Banwari, gross injustice that this woman Banwari Devi faced because she was gang raped at her workplace while she was actually doing her job. It paved a path, the way to this Vishakha guidelines that were made and that were, with aim of providing a safer work environment of women. It was for the very first time that Supreme Court took something like this into consideration with regards to sexual harassment. So these guidelines have established so much and have paved a path that is a way forward for women in India to work in a very safe environment and to, you know, not be afraid of getting harassed at the workplaces. Thank you.